Chosen one, listen. Right now, in rooms where you are not present, there are whispers, not the soft, caring murmur of truth, but sharp, manufactured murmurs fashioned to wound. They are threading a story about you like a tailor sewing a false garment. Neat stitches of accusation, borrowed phrases, half-truths polished until they shine like lies. These whispers were never meant to be harmless gossip. They were engineered to make you small, to paint you as the villain in a play someone else wrote because you stood in the way of their ambition. Imagine hands in the dark, arranging props, rehearsing lines about betrayal and instability. Also, the spotlight would turn away from them and land squarely on you. Picture their relief when a stranger repeats a rumor, when a colleague hesitates, when a neighbor's nod becomes a tally mark in their ledger of evidence. But here is the secret they did not count on. A vain narrative needs witnesses, and witnesses, over time, become investigators. Light finds the smallest crack, and what was whispered in shadow begins to unravel in plain sight. So if you feel that sting, that strange chill of being misread, misframed, misnamed, know this is not your failure. It is the failing of the story that tried to cage you. Type 777 if that truth hits you. If you feel the weight lift even for a moment, because this is not merely exposure, it is the turning of tide. Stay close. What they meant to hide in darkness is being led into daylight. And tonight we will pull every thread until the whole deception falls away. This is not gossip. This is spiritual exposure, a revealing that pierces the smoke and mirrors of rumor and lays the naked mechanics of deception bare. Hear me. This moment is not a passing hallway whisper or the petty clatter of social chatter. It is a dismantling, careful, relentless, and ordained of every hidden script written to make you stumble. The very ones who plotted to target you are being unmasked before more than idle ears. Their patterns, their rehearsed lies, their rehearsed performances of righteousness are being cataloged by truth itself. Watch closely. What once hid behind cultivated charm and calculated kindness now trembles under scrutiny. Their calm was a curtain. Their compliments were camouflage. Their proximity was a tactic. But every tactic leaves a trace. Every rehearsed smile carries a seam. The instability you were accused of is not yours. It is the reflection of their own unrest. The obsession they labored to conceal. The frantic angling, the invisible strings, the attempts to pull public opinion like marionettes, now reads like a confession when viewed in the light of consistency and fact. Where they meant to paint you as wild and unpredictable, their own behavior betrays a far darker pattern. Compulsive control, compulsive narrative shifting, and a brittle mind trying to hold too many falsehoods at once. This unraveling is not merely social. It is spiritual. Lies that operated in shadow are meeting sunlight, and Scripture's law that what is hidden will be revealed is playing out in real time. The facade they built, carefully layered, deceptively ornate, is failing because truth has an architecture all its own. It does not bend to rumor or fear. It exposes where foundations are rotten, and it reveals who has been performing and who has been living. You are not the spectacle. You are the witness. Their unraveling is the signpost. Your steadfastness is the testimony. So brief. Stand steady. Know that the accusations thrown at you were never more than borrowed thunder, and now the storm has passed back over their heads. This is a season of revelation, of names becoming clear, motives showing their true color, and a desperate masquerade collapsing into a pattern of transparency. Hold your peace when you must, speak when you should, and let the light finish its work. What they hoped would bury you is becoming the very instrument of their exposure. Tonight, chosen one, you will witness a revelation unlike any you have experienced before. You will see with clarity the secrets they have labored to conceal, the stories they tried to bury, and the carefully constructed illusions they relied on to manipulate perception and control the narrative. Every mask they wore, polished to perfection, practiced for decades, and presented with the confidence of someone who thought they could never be seen through, is beginning to fracture. And as those cracks widen under the relentless light of truth, the world around them trembles with the realization that the carefully orchestrated web of lies is collapsing. You will understand not only what they were hiding from you, but also why their schemes, meant to destabilize and intimidate, are now the very instruments of their exposure. Their public persona, once seeming untouchable, is revealing the instability, obsession, and unhinged desperation that have always existed beneath the surface. And here is the profound contrast. While their foundation crumbles, God's chosen ones, you, remain steadfast, unshaken, immovable. In a world spinning with deceit, rumor, and manipulation, you are the constant, anchored not in human approval or false security, but in divine truth and unyielding faith. So stay with me. Prepare to see the unraveling in vivid detail, the moments where their narrative slips, the ways their fear betrays them, and the signs that heaven itself is orchestrating a reckoning. By the end of this revelation, you will not only know what they were hiding, you will understand why their collapse was inevitable, and why your place as God's chosen one stands unassailable, untouched, and shining like a lighthouse in the storm of deception surrounding them. They built a counterfeit reality, carefully constructing it brick by brick, each layer a carefully placed deception, spun with meticulous precision like the silken threads of a spider's web meant to trap the unsuspecting, to ensnare you in their illusions. Every rumor whispered, every manipulated fact, every half-truth crafted to perfection was another filament in a web designed to control perception and bend reality to their will. They believed it was unbreakable. They believed that the truth could be contained, twisted, and hidden forever. But here's the reality they never counted on. Deception is a rotten foundation. No matter how polished the surface appears, no matter how intricate the design, lies cannot withstand the storms of exposure, the relentless winds of scrutiny, or the weight of heaven's light. What they thought of as a fortress, a secret stronghold from which they could orchestrate your downfall, is in fact a collapsing cage, tightening around them, suffocating under the very tension they created. Every whispered accusation meant to weaken you, every scheme constructed in darkness, every attempt to rewrite the story, all of it is unraveling, folding back upon itself like a house of cards in the midst of a tempest. They were architects of illusion, but every structure built on falsehoods will eventually crack, splinter, and fall. Think of Pharaoh at the Red Sea. Pride turned to ruin when truth moved. Every army, every strategy, every sense of control vanished before a higher law, a greater power. Just as Pharaoh's empire could not withstand the waters, so too can their carefully cultivated narratives no longer withstand the rising tide of revelation. Observe closely. Every frantic gesture, every contradicting story, every nervous laugh, every attempt to mask fear with false confidence. Each is a fissure in their facade, a crack revealing the rotten timber beneath the marble veneer. You, chosen one, have endured. You have walked through the shadows of their plotting, the whispers of their lies, and the pressure of their schemes. You have remained steady, grounded in faith, anchored in truth, unshaken by their attempts to distort reality. And now, as their house of sand collapses under the weight of its own falsity, you are a witness to the inevitable, the sound of deception crumbling, of illusions falling with a great and thunderous crash. The empire they thought would dominate and destroy you is dissolving, exposing not just their lies, but the fragility, the instability, and the desperation that has always lurked beneath the surface. What was meant to be your prison has become their own undoing, and the theater of their collapse is a reminder that no lie can ever endure against the force of divine truth. Unraveling around you. Do not mistake their panic for power, for the loudness of their accusations, the speed of their movements, and the force of their performance is not a display of strength. It is the unmistakable sound of someone losing control. Every shout, every exaggeration, every desperate attempt to dominate the narrative is a signal that their grip is slipping, that the threads they pulled so tightly to ensnare others are now tangling around themselves. Hear it clearly. Their boldness, their seeming aggression, their relentless pursuit to intimidate. These are the cries of a mind cornered, a plan collapsing, a foundation giving way. True strength does not scream. It does not panic. It does not tremble with every gust of wind. What you are witnessing is the unraveling of a carefully constructed illusion, a house of deception shaking under the weight of exposure. While they claw and struggle, you stand quietly, anchored in faith, steady in your truth, observing as the chaos they created becomes the instrument of their own undoing. Remember, chosen one, noise is never a measure of authority. Calm endurance, patient observation, and unwavering integrity. These are the signs of genuine strength. Their frenzy is temporary. Your steadiness is eternal. What appears intimidating is only the echo of their own instability, and your clarity, your peace, and your rootedness in God's truth are the beams that reveal it for all to see. What began as subtle whispers in hallways, secretive glances, and carefully crafted manipulations has now escalated into a spectacle that cannot be hidden, a public display of desperation for all to witness. Every attempt they made to control perception, to bend circumstances, to manipulate minds, has now become a magnifying glass, revealing their fear, their instability, and the deep obsession that has consumed them. The quiet plotting, once cloaked in secrecy, is now laid bare, and each act meant to intimidate or dominate only highlights the tremors of panic beneath their facade. The more they push, the more they try to rewrite the narrative to make themselves appear strong, confident, and in control, the more obvious their contradictions become. Stories they once whispered with precision now trip over themselves. Excuses multiply like echoes in an empty hall. Actions betray intentions, and the seamless illusion of dominance unravels with every word they speak. Their obsession with controlling you, chosen one, has become the very instrument of their exposure. The predator they imagine themselves to be is now ensnared in the very web they wove. The hunter has become the hunted, the manipulator entangled in their own schemes. And yet, here is the power you hold. Endurance, not retaliation. Calm, steady observation, patient steadfastness, and living in truth without being drawn into the chaos. These are your weapons. Every moment you stand unmoved is a mirror held up to their madness. Their attempts to provoke, to manipulate, to dominate, only reflect their own fragility. And you, steadfast, faithful, and composed, reveal it for all to see. While they scramble to maintain an illusion of control, your quiet endurance becomes a lighthouse in the storm, a living testimony that truth cannot be suppressed, manipulation cannot prevail, and obsession will always betray the one who wields it. Witness this, chosen one. The more they fight to entangle you, the more they unravel themselves. Their obsession, once hidden in shadow, now blazes like a signal fire, illuminating the collapse that was inevitable the moment they attempted to cage a soul anchored in divine truth. Your power is not in confrontation. It is in your unshakable presence, in your refusal to be drawn into their chaos, and in the divine light that continues to shine through you, exposing what has always been hidden in them. Understand this, chosen one. There's a spiritual mathematics at work, a divine calculus that governs every action, every intention, and every hidden plot. It is the law of seed and harvest, of cause and effect, of what is sown in darkness returning to light. Nothing escapes this law. Every whispered lie, every calculated betrayal, every attempt to manipulate, dominate, or control another has been recorded in the ledger of heaven, and no shadow can hide what is meant to be revealed. What they planted in secret, the deceit, the envy, the schemes designed to cage or confuse you, cannot remain buried forever. Like seeds in fertile soil, every action has a consequence. Every hidden motive is a root that will eventually bear fruit. And when the time appointed by divine timing arrives, those seeds sprout in daylight, exposing the harvest of their own making. The illusions they crafted, the false narratives spun in secrecy, and the efforts to hide their true character will rise to the surface, fully visible to all who are willing to see. This is not chance. This is law. This is the rhythm of justice woven into the fabric of creation. As sure as night gives way to dawn, as certain as rivers return to the sea, the effects of every hidden action will manifest. And in this revelation, chosen one, you stand as witness to the immutable truth. Nothing sown in darkness remains hidden. Everything sown in deception eventually confronts the light, and every attempt to destroy, manipulate, or enslave will ultimately be revealed for what it is, a reflection of the very weakness and instability of the one who planted it. Every fabricated accusation, every whispered rumor, every twisted narrative they constructed to harm you now ricochets back with unrelenting force, returning to expose the very architects of deceit. The stories they birthed to manipulate perception, to isolate you, to make you appear unstable or guilty, are no longer weapons in their hands. They have become mirrors, reflecting their true nature for all to see. What they intended as tools of domination, meant to imprison your reputation and distort reality, are now the instruments that reveal their guilt, their obsession, and their own fragility. Consider this. Like arrows shot carelessly into the wind, their accusations, meant to pierce and wound you, instead turn upon themselves, finding their mark in the very hearts and hands of those who launched them. Every lie, every exaggerated claim, every fabricated betrayal has a momentum of its own, and no amount of cover, deflection, or performance can redirect it. The energy they poured into constructing illusions now fuels their exposure. What was designed to hide their instability now illuminates it. What was meant to bind you now frees the eyes of observers to see the truth clearly. The mirror they mounted, the polished, reflective surface they used to project their narrative and paint you as the villain, is cracking. Its reflection no longer shows you. It shows them in their hollow, trembling, undone reality. Their false confidence, their feigned composure, their calculated charm, all become visible fractures. The trembling of a hand pretending to be steady, the hesitation in a voice that tries to command authority, the inconsistencies in a story that cannot hold under scrutiny. And as the reflection becomes undeniable, their public persona, once carefully curated, collapses into a portrait of desperation, instability, and obsession. This is the divine irony at work, chosen one. The very tools they used to harm you, the webs of lies they spun to cage your name and reputation, have now become the instruments of their own exposure. The mirror they mounted to conceal truth has become the lens through which the world sees the truth of who they really are. Every observer, from strangers to colleagues, can now read the tremors of their undoing, the chaos in their soul laid bare, the cracks in their narrative undeniable, and the hollowness of their intentions exposed. And while they scramble to repair the irreparable, you remain steadfast, the witness, the constant, the one whose integrity allows the mirror to shine with unflinching clarity. Look closely, chosen one, and you will see that this is not a new pattern. History, as well as the quiet lives of ordinary people, confirms again and again that those who rise through deceit, manipulation, and cunning eventually collapse under the very weight of the lies they have built. Schemers, frauds, and those who relied on hidden agendas and shadowed networks to climb to power never escaped the law of cause and effect. Their towers of illusion, no matter how tall or imposing they seemed in their time, crumble when the foundation, built on falsehood and treachery, cannot withstand the scrutiny of truth. Think of the financial deceivers, the Ponzi schemes, the empires built on falsified accounts and false promises. Thousands were dazzled by their promises of wealth and stability. Yet the moment one voice dared to speak facts, the structure of lies collapsed, revealing the rot inside. Or consider corrupt officials, men and women who use position and influence to silence others, to manipulate circumstances, and to hide their ambitions. Time and again, it has been a single voice of courage, a quietly documented truth, a patient observation that shattered their carefully constructed facades. Ordinary people, armed only with diligence and faithfulness to what was right, watched empires built on falsehood fracture and fall. Even in the annals of history, leaders whose ambition outpaced integrity, rulers who cared more for perception than for principle, left behind cautionary tales rather than legacies of honor. Their names, once feared and respected, became synonymous with folly and corruption. The lessons are consistent. No empire of lies can endure forever. No deception can outlast the inevitable exposure, and no shadowed ambition can resist the light for eternity. And here, chosen one, is the critical truth for your own observation. Ordinary, steadfast people, those who lived quietly, who refused to participate in deceit, who simply documented what they saw and spoke truth when necessary, became witnesses to the unraveling. They did not need to wield power, to shout louder, or to act with force. Their endurance, Patience and fidelity to truth allowed them to watch as the empire cracked. The illusions fell, and justice, in its own time and measure, became evident. This is a divine pattern, a recurring law of life and spirit. Deception carries the seed of its own destruction, and integrity, even when quiet and unseen, is always the lens through which collapse is revealed and justice observed. Remember, chosen one, the words that echo through eternity. You shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. Let those words sink deep into your spirit. Everything that was intended to ensnare you, to bind you with lies, manipulation, or fear, is now revealing the true character of those who sought to enslave. What they hoped would weaken you has instead become the very instrument that exposes their deception, their obsession, and their instability. The chains they tried to forge around your reputation, your name, and your peace of mind are turning back upon them, like ropes unraveling from the hands of the one who wields them in haste. And hear this as well. Do not be deceived. God cannot be mocked. No act of cunning, no hidden scheme, no whispered conspiracy can escape the divine measure. Every word spoken in shadow, every plan devised in secrecy, every plot carried out in darkness is cataloged by the unerring hand of justice. The principles of heaven are not blind to human ambition, nor are they indifferent to attempts to harm the innocent. The Creator sees every motive, weighs every action, and ensures that no falsehood remains hidden indefinitely. Stand firm, chosen one. Do not be shaken by the storm of accusations, the noise of manipulation, or the trembling panic of those unraveling before you. Faith is your anchor, a grounding force that holds the soul steady even when waves crash violently on every side. In the midst of chaos, in the eye of the storm, the soul rooted in truth and guided by divine wisdom remains unmovable, steadfast, and serene. You do not need to fight every battle. You do not need to prove yourself to the world. Your victory is already written in the constancy of truth, the steadfastness of faith, and the recognition that the storm was never yours to bear. It was theirs. So breathe, stand tall, and let the words of Scripture be a lamp to your path, a shield to your heart, and a reminder that the light of truth illuminates even the darkest deception. What was meant to destroy you has instead become the very stage upon which their own exposure unfolds. And in that exposure, your freedom, your peace, and your vindication are made visible. Faith anchors you when the world trembles, and truth guides you when chaos reigns. The mask is cracking now, chosen one, because the intricate machinery of deception cannot withstand sustained scrutiny. Lies, no matter how meticulously constructed, have internal stresses, hidden seams, and fragile joints. What appears seamless from afar begins to unravel under the steady gaze of observation, the weight of evidence, and the relentless pressure of truth. Small inconsistencies, initially dismissed as minor or accidental, grow over time into chasms, gaps in their story that cannot be ignored, fractures in their persona that demand attention, and contradictions that multiply like shadows chasing the sun. Panic is a natural companion to deception. When they realize their control is slipping, the fear of exposure intensifies. Panic produces over-explanation, a compulsion to justify, to clarify, to narrate every detail in an attempt to reclaim authority. But over-explanation is the seed of contradiction. The more they speak, the more holes appear, the more the narrative fractures, and the more the facade becomes transparent. Every gesture meant to assert strength now betrays insecurity. Every carefully chosen word becomes evidence of instability. What was once an illusion of coherence is now a spectacle of disarray. And it is not only human observation at work. Heaven's spotlight converges with public scrutiny, the divine light that reveals hidden intentions, the justice that exposes what is concealed in darkness, intersects with eyes watching, ears listening, and minds discerning the truth. Where light falls, shadows cannot remain. Lies, manipulation, obsession, all the hidden machinery they relied upon, becomes visible in its raw, unvarnished form. The mask they wore, polished to perfection for years, cannot endure this dual illumination. Every tremor, every hesitation, every inconsistency is amplified, visible to those who watch and undeniable to those who discern. So watch closely, chosen one. Their unraveling is not random. It is inevitable. The cracks, the contradictions, and the moments of panic are all signs of a deeper law. Deception cannot endure when light meets scrutiny. The mask fractures because it was never made of stone, only fragile materials designed to deceive. And now, under the combined force of observation and divine revelation, it crumbles, exposing the hollow, trembling, and undone reality beneath. This is the hour when truth emerges victorious, when the hidden is revealed, and when you, steadfast, anchored, unshaken, witness the ultimate reckoning of a world built on lies. Do not stoop to their methods, chosen one. Do not allow their chaos, their schemes, or their frantic attempts at manipulation to draw you into the same patterns of deception, anger, or retaliation. You are not called to fight every battle in their arena. You are called to stand in the light, unwavering, and to let truth move on its own accord. Endurance, not combat, is your weapon. Calm observation, patient documentation, and unwavering faith are far more powerful than any shout, any counterattack, or any attempt to match deception with cunning. Document what you see, record facts, preserve clarity, and let the evidence speak for itself. Speak truth calmly, without anger or haste, knowing that words guided by integrity carry a weight and resonance that far surpasses any hurried or emotionally charged response. Live transparently, chosen one, for every act of authenticity, every moment of integrity, and every choice to walk in righteousness is a beacon that exposes falsehood and illuminates the path for others who are lost or misled. Your life itself becomes a testimony, a living proof that faith, patience, and truth endure while deception, obsession, and manipulation eventually collapse under their own weight. Know this, your silence, when paired with steadfastness, is louder than their lies. The absence of reaction is a statement. The refusal to participate in their drama, to validate their narratives, or to mirror their instability speaks volumes. The world observes more than you realize. The subtle constancy of your conduct, the integrity of your actions, and the faith that anchors your soul are a louder declaration than any argument could ever be. Stand as an example, chosen one, not in confrontation, but in quiet, unshakable authority of character. Let righteousness be the measure of your victory. Let calm, measured truth be the echo that reverberates far beyond their whispers. And let the knowledge that every lie they planted will ultimately expose them fortify your heart. Your steadfastness is a cathedral built on eternal stone in a world of collapsing illusions. You do not need to fight their battles. You need only hold your ground, document truth, live transparently, and allow the natural, divine consequences of their actions to unfold. In doing so, you are not only preserved, you are exalted, and your life becomes the unmovable witness that their schemes could never touch. If this revelation has stirred something deep within you, chosen one, a recognition of truth, a surge of clarity, or a confirmation that you are not alone, I want you to make your presence known. Type 777 in the comments below as a declaration that you resonate with this message, that you are aligned with the light of truth, and that you stand firm as one of God's chosen. Let it be more than a number. Let it be a statement of solidarity, a signal to others who are watching, and a marker that you will not be swayed by lies or deception. Share this message with those in your circle, those who need to hear it, those who may be trapped in webs of manipulation or confusion. Let it reach ears and eyes that have been waiting for confirmation, courage, and clarity. Like this video, to amplify the message and increase its reach, ensuring that more people are awakened to the patterns of deception and the power of divine truth. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a revelation that strengthens, encourages, and equips the faithful. And if you are able, support this message with a super thanks, a tangible contribution that fuels the continued broadcast of revelation, insight, and spiritual clarity. Your engagement is not passive. It is active, a participation in the movement of truth that cannot be silenced. Every comment, every share, every like, every subscription is a thread in the network of witnesses who are standing for justice, for exposure of hidden deception, and for the vindication of the righteous. Know this, your interaction does more than affirm your own understanding. It strengthens the collective voice of those who will not be intimidated, who will not be deceived, and who are committed to seeing God's justice and truth manifested. Together, as a community, you amplify the light, bring visibility to what has been hidden, and participate in a spiritual momentum that ensures deception is revealed, lies are exposed, and God's chosen remains steadfast, unshakable, and victorious. So type 777, share widely, engage boldly, and let your presence fuel the movement of revelation across this world. Walk forward, chosen one, crowned not by the fleeting recognition of man, not by approval or praise that fades with time, but crowned by God Himself, whose judgment is perfect, whose timing is impeccable, and whose reward for steadfastness is eternal. Every step you take now is a testament to endurance, to faithfulness, and to the unshakable reality that truth, when rooted in righteousness, outlasts every illusion, every scheme, and every attempt to misrepresent your character. Remember, the storm you witnessed, the chaos, the manipulation, the panic, and the attempts to diminish you. The storm was never yours to bear. It was theirs. It belonged to those who tried to manipulate, to deceive, and to control. And yet, while they faltered, stumbled, and revealed their true nature, you stood. You remained calm, anchored in faith, resilient in spirit, and unwavering in your integrity. And now, chosen one, you move forward as living proof that deception cannot triumph over truth, that lies cannot outlast divine justice, and that integrity anchored in God's light is stronger than any shadow cast by human schemes. May heaven's peace guard your heart, wrapping you in serenity that surpasses understanding, shielding your mind from doubt, fear, or distraction. May your thoughts remain clear, your spirit unshaken, and your eyes fixed on the eternal truth that governs all things. May your name be vindicated, not in the timing of men, but in the perfect timing of God, whose ways are higher, whose understanding is infinite, and whose justice is unfailing. Step boldly, chosen one, for you are no longer merely surviving the trials. You are walking forward as a beacon of divine endurance, a living testimony that righteousness endures, that truth prevails, and that those who remain faithful will be elevated, recognized, and crowned by the author of life himself. Let every action, every word, and every moment reflect the victory already written over your life. And may the light of your steadfastness illuminate the path for others who are still finding their footing in the midst of deception. You are crowned. You are vindicated. You are free. Move forward in the fullness of God's glory, carrying His peace, His justice, and His eternal truth with every step.